it's a good escape for me personally. I like to be involved in a story and immersed in a story. I think it's something that you can easily, it's something physically you can easily take with you, and you can be immersed in it. It's kind of an escape from all the stress and the other things that are happening. This is a really stressful time in most people's lives when they're here. So today, maybe I'm going to talk to you about how maybe you should try to read a little bit more often and why it would be good for you to do so. So the problem. The problem is simple, and it's just that people aren't reading enough. If you look nowadays, our primary forms of communications aren't really letters anymore. We don't have the Pony Express. We don't have the Pony Express run around giving each other letters anymore. We aren't sending messages out to Oregon and stuff. We're sending texts, we're sending videos, snaps, vines, all that stuff. So we're not writing as much. We're texting, which, that's our reading, I guess, but we're not sitting there and thinking critically about what we're reading, and we're not choosing to sit down and read books in long pieces of work. That includes like academic journals. I'm sure all of you have read like the Organic Chem Journal from 1994. Things like that. We're not sitting there and just reading stuff. So I've got some statistics for you. This is based off the surveys I took in this class. Students read, on average, less than 30 minutes a week. That's like one episode of whatever show you watch on Netflix. So no, most people in here are probably like a season per day type person. Yeah, I know. You think I don't know, but I know most of you are. And on average, the last time anyone had read a book was about a month to 6 months ago. And I'm giving out answers ranging up to 2 to 3 years ago. So it's pretty incredible because a lot of you also said that when you were in elementary and middle school, you had like accelerated reader programs or some sort of reading program where there was an incentive at your school to read. And as soon as you get to college, or where you don't have to read anymore for a grade, that kind of just drops off. So I kind of thought that was interesting, but take that as you will. I have also one more statistic. And over 60% of prison inmates are functionally illiterate. That doesn't necessarily mean they can't read, but that doesn't mean they have critical reading skills and not able to take a lot out of whatever text they read. That's by the Research and Learning Statistics. Begin to read. That's by a reading website. One of the lobbyists for literacy in the United States. So the problem is simple, but so is the solution. And that is, we just need to read more. That can be pretty much any way you'd like to, whatever you can get your hands on. There's lots of ways you could do that. And there's some pretty cool ways that we're kind of getting reading into the community. And some of those are, more funding has gone to public libraries nowadays, really, that has ever before. With the advent of the internet now, libraries are becoming hubs with computers and just like all this new software, and just since the internet has come to the forefront of our society, libraries have exploded. They've gotten tons of funding, so libraries are a great place, obviously. We have reading programs. Like I said, I had a program called Accelerated Reader. I know that's popular here in West Kentucky. Schools are offering incentives for kids. Maybe like you'll have an ice cream day if you read so many books or whatever. Bookmobiles. I haven't seen one of these in person, but I've seen videos and I've read about them a little bit. And they're essentially kind of traveling bus libraries that travel around into neighborhoods and rural areas that don't have public libraries. And they'll have a selection of books that you can choose from. And they're usually free, which is pretty cool. Neighborhood bookstores are even more cool. These are in bigger inner cities where there may be one massive library, but not many little neighborhood or suburb libraries. There are a few in Chicago, but essentially what they are, they're free libraries. Basically, you would go in there and you would say, hey, I'm going to take this book, and then they're like, okay, you can take it, it's free, just bring it back whenever. So there's no actually, like, it's kind of like stealing, I guess. Stealing, but you're giving it back. So You don't have to be registered or anything. They're very based on the idea of just free knowledge. All knowledge should be free. That's a whole other thing. And the e-readers, these are really cool. I mean, those are really cool. So they're Kindles. I'm sure you all see Kindles, iPads. Anyway, a lot of textbooks now are actually being offered in PDFs and stuff. So people are reading electronically now, which is cool. And a lot of you all in your survey said that you prefer electronic readers to physical readers, and that's kind of a generation shift. In the past, most of my parents hate reading on their phone or their iPad or whatever. They love reading a book, but that's just kind of interesting. All right. Whoops. There's lots of benefits to reading. Okay, well, I'm so stupid. One is just entertainment. Reading is fun if you find the right book, and most of the time, if you're forced to read, you're not going to like it. So I recommend just reading something you enjoy. It improves memory and focus. And when you're required to retain a lot of information, like a long story, a lot of characters, a lot of vivid detail and imagery, you're going to learn to retain that, and that kind of carries over in the real world. Another obvious plus is your expansion of vocabulary. You learn words through reading and speaking, and reading maybe like a 10,000 word book, of course you're going to pick up something. Perspective. It's great to read a book for perspective, to gain insight into other people's lives and their stories and that sort of thing. And it's just good to be informed, whether that means like a magazine or whatever you choose to read. There's also a wide range of medical benefits. They'll help you sleep better, which is great. I know most of us need that. They can help mental decline. They'll keep you sharp. You know, reading books keeps you engaged. And a lot of those facets kind of carry over to, this is kind of cool, reading can ward off Alzheimer's disease, not completely, but it can kind of offset some early stages of it because you're critically thinking as you read, which kind of keeps the motors up in the brain working. It can help ease depression. You know, if you really enjoy something you're reading, maybe it can give you a little hope, which is kind of cool. So what can you do with all this? I've brought to you and talked to you about, like, what can you do about it besides just reading? I encourage you to maybe talk to your family and say, hey, you know, when's the last time you read a book? Kind of give them the same conversation I've been giving you guys. When's the last time you read a book? Is there a book you like to read, or maybe let's start a book club or something on Thursdays. Support and visit local libraries. This is something I do a lot, and I find like when I'm in town, I'm really the only person my age at the library. I mean, I just like to come and look sometimes and just hang out, but not all the time, because that's kind of weird. But just kind of get a book everywhere there for once in a while. But I'm really, besides the people working there, I'm really the only like 19, 20-year-old person there. And there's also after-school programs for schools to promote literacy and reading, that sort of thing. So to end this massive tirade of why you should read, I'd like to end with this quote. And it's by Dr. Seuss, who I'm sure you all have read his books. Or if you have at least heard of him. And he said, the more you read, the more you'll know. And the more you learn, the more places you'll go. Which is kind of like college. So, thank you. Dr. Seuss.
I feel like so many of us rely on Dr. Seuss for books.
Nailed it.
Well, he was a quote guy.
Have you noticed that though? Like,
Hey,
I think I've done two
I have
Dr.
an
Seuss
untyped
quotes.
version ready if you want to just have that just in case. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, and what are we doing about a cheat sheet for you?
Yeah.
Will somebody donate?
I gotta go to sleep.
Nailed it.
I haven't had sleep in 30 hours.
And then I will bring it.
Madison, where are you going?